What specific measures should be prioritized to ensure that aid reaches the most vulnerable populations, and how can these efforts align with the goal of Syrian sovereignty?
In fact, Western states can help the Syrian people through the operationalization of some political, economic, and humanitarian measures that can enhance living conditions and can lay out sustainable solutions to the crisis in Syria. These measures can include some humanitarian relief programs like the World Food Program and, for instance, the World Health Organizations. These two entities can help in deploying these measures, as well the reform of water grids in vulnerable areas. In Syria, this is something very important. As well, the provision of concession loans to small, medium enterprises in Syria that are related to the fields of agriculture and other fields, as well the wavering of political sanctions on Syria is something that can be quite viable here in this context and can be done by Western countries. The Western countries as well can help in the rehabilitation of vulnerable youth that got severely impacted psychologically and physically by the war. In fact, the international community has a long expertise in the operationalization of these measures in war-afflicted regions. And so the most important thing is that the support done or carried out and provided by Western countries has got to be sustainable on a multitude of levels in order to provide a decent life for Syrians in the new era.
Dr. Osman, now as the international community discusses Syria's reconstruction, what strategies do you think the Western allies should adopt to help rebuild Syria's political institutions and infrastructure without exacerbating divisions or creating new tensions?
Well, I would share the view and the vision of the Honorable Ambassador who spoke before me. He said that aid and support needs to be sustainable. It needs to be directed to the sectors that need it the most. And right now, the humanitarian situation is of priority, especially the nutritional situation and the situation of infrastructure, especially electricity and other basic services. This is something that the international community, or to be more specific, the European Union, because the international community is not discussing anything. Now the Europeans and the Americans are. We do not have a UN forum, for example, or a UN conference that includes all nations of the world that are discussing this. We have different trajectories of efforts that are being made, some by the Europeans and the Americans, some by the Arab countries, for example. However, these efforts, it seems, have not united yet into one cohesive process that can actually benefit Syria the most, especially that all of these actors have different inputs and tools that they can utilize in order to alleviate the suffering of the Syrian people. However, I think it's way too early to speak of reconstruction in Syria. I think the focus now needs to be on stabilizing Syria. Syria is far from stable. Syria is far from united. Syria is a country in shambles. And what will put this country back on track is a sound political transition that is inclusive to everyone, to all the segments of Syrian society, no matter how diverse they are. And this is something that can be very challenging given the current composition of the government. However, given the right amount of pressure and given the right words and the goodwill on their part as well, this can be achieved. However, it needs to be prioritized by all the actors for the sake of the Syrian people. And of course, the rebuilding of the state institutions itself and the integrity of state institutions. This is very important. We are to speak of a country that is governed by a bunch of militias, just like Afghanistan, for example. Then let's not speak of reconstruction and let's not kid ourselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Mohamed Osman, the International Relations Specialist.